Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive into something a bit different. We're diving into myths and what they really mean. Today, we're heading straight into ancient Greece, into the story of Athena. You know her, the goddess of wisdom, the ultimate strategist, expert speaker. Right, you think of Athena, you think pure logic, host speaker, exactly. But what we're looking at today, what our sources actually explore is, well, a time when even Athena lost her way. And let me tell you, it did not go well, expert speaker. That's what's so interesting about these sources. They don't just tell a story. It's like they're hinting at something deeper, something darker, that anyone, even the brightest mind out there, can lose their way. It makes you think, huh? Host speaker?
Oh, absolutely. So picture this Olympus, a home of the gods, all majestic, but in our sources, it's eerily quiet. Like the air itself is heavy with, I don't know, a premonition or something. Expert speaker.
They nailed that atmosphere, didn't they? Olympus is supposed to be buzzing with, well, divine energy. This silence. That's ominous, man. It's setting the stage for something bad to go down. Host speaker. Big time. Like the calm before the storm. And at the center of it all, you've got Athena at the height of her power, respected by gods and mortals alike. But then, things start to shift. It's subtle, this feeling that something's just not off. Even Athena, known for her crystal clear thinking, there's this mental fog creeping in. Expert speaker. Like the very foundation of her being, the essence of Athena is slowly being chipped away. And what's really wild is that she doesn't even realize what's happening. Not at first, anyway. Host speaker. Can you imagine? Athena, the goddess of wisdom, caught off guard. Makes you wonder if it could happen to her. What does that say about us, expert speaker? It taps into a fear we all have, don't we?
That fear of losing our minds, losing ourselves, it's timeless. And from the looks of it, it can even happen to gods. Host speaker. Totally. Like that feeling you get, that little voice saying, is my mind as sharp as it used to be? We've all been there, right? Expert speaker. Absolutely. But for Athena, this isn't just personal. This is a crisis on a cosmic scale. Host speaker. Because when Athena's wisdom falters, the effects, they're going to be huge. Yeah. Expert speaker. Think about it. Her wisdom isn't some abstract idea. It's what holds everything together, guides, strategies, keeps the peace in both Olympus and the human world. When that starts to go, well, the stakes are higher than high. Host speaker. And does it ever start to unravel? Our sources describe this council meeting. Ares, the god of war. He's challenging Athena, asking for her strategic advice on some conflict. Expert speaker. Classic Ares, always looking for a fight, even with another god.
You got to wonder, did he sense something that was off with Athena? Like he saw an opening and took it? Host speaker. Oh, for sure. But here's where it gets interesting. Athena, the goddess with an answer for everything, totally stumped. Drawing a blank, her thoughts are jumbled, can't even form a coherent response. Expert speaker. Can you imagine witnessing that? The embodiment of wisdom, suddenly silent, lost. The council's in shock, throws everything they thought they knew out the window. Host speaker. Total chaos. The other gods start whispering. Zeus is looking at Athena like, what in the name of Olympus is going on? And that's the turning point. Everyone realizes something's seriously wrong.
It's like this chain reaction, What starts as like little disagreements between the gods suddenly explodes into full-on conflicts. And those perfect strategies, that divine wisdom keeping things in check, gone.
And it doesn't stop at Olympus, does it?
Yeah.
Our sources talk about the same chaos breaking out down in the human world. It's like the very idea of reason is falling apart at the seams.
Wild, right? Everything Athena embodies, order, strategy, logic, it all just crumbles. And the really eerie part is nobody, not even the gods, seem to get what's happening or how to fix it.
Even Apollo, the god of prophecy, is stumped. Think about it, the guy who can see through time, blindsided by this. If Apollo's freaking out, you know it's bad.
Shows how sneaky this threat is, don't you think? It's not some monster you can punch or zap with lightning. This is something way deeper, attacking them at their core.
Like a disease, but for their minds, eating away their ability to think straight. So what do you do when wisdom and order are basically collapsing around you? Well, our sources say it's Hermes, the trickster god, who starts putting the pieces together.
Which is kind of telling, isn't it? Like, sometimes to beat the toughest problems, you need a different kind of thinking. While everyone else is trying to muscle their way through this, Hermes is using his cunning, observing, not just reacting, He's trying to get to the bottom of it.
And Hermes, always the observant one, he notices this shadowy thing clinging to Athena. Not something you can touch, but it's there. A darkness feeding on her very essence, her wisdom. Gives me shivers just picturing it.
This is where the sources go beyond just Athena's struggle. This is hinting at something massive, cosmic even. Not an attack on one goddess, but on the very concept of order, of reason itself.
Okay, full-on cosmic horror vibes now. So what's the plan? They send Hermes with like a celestial bug zapper to shoo this thing away?
You'd think they'd have a god for that, right? But this This calls for something way more daring, way more dangerous, and surprise, surprise, it's Hermes who comes up with it. He's gonna journey into Athena's mind to confront whatever's hiding there.
Hold up. Into Athena's mind. Isn't that like suicide even for a god?
Yeah, incredibly risky. Athena's mind is not your average mindscape. We're talking a realm of pure thought, strategies, knowledge spanning millennia. It's the kind of place even gods are terrified of.
But Hermes being Hermes, he takes the plunge. So what's he find in there?
The sources, they paint a wild picture. Imagine the shattered memories, logic twisted into knots, a funhouse mirror reflecting Athena's brilliance but broken. Like a perfectly organized library where all the books are now scattered, pages full of gibberish.
Okay, that's creepy and confusing all at once. But what about the enemy? What does this void, this thing feeding on Athena, what does it actually look like?
That's the freaky part. They don't describe a being, not really. Instead, it's this void, an emptiness that's impossible to pin down, ever-shifting, always consuming, always hungry for more.
So how do you fight? Nothingness, something that's not even there.
That's the question everyone on Olympus is asking, and I bet our listeners are too. And that, my friend, is where we'll pick things up next time.
So last time, we left off with Hermes, brave as ever, jumping headfirst into the wreckage of Athena's mind. Can you imagine going into the mind of a god, especially one that's being attacked by, well, basically nothingness?
Talk about a mental battle. It's not like he can punch this thing. He's facing something that exists entirely in the realm of thought.
And the sources can barely even describe it. This void, as they call it, formless, nameless, always changing. It'd be like trying to win a staring contest with like your own shadow.
Exactly. And just like a shadow, it seems to feed on the light, on knowledge, twisting it into something dark, something completely unrecognizable.
So how do you fight that? Our sources say even Hermes, clever as he is, even he was on the defensive here.
He figured out pretty quickly that brute force, not going to cut it. This void was like a puzzle. And to solve it, he needed to understand why it was doing this, what it wanted. Remember, Hermes is known for his trickery, for outsmarting everyone. He had to use that brain of his to beat the void at its own game.
So what does he do? He challenges it to a riddle contest.
Pretty smart move, if you ask me. By challenging it to a battle of wits, Hermes is forcing the void to look at its own nature. It's like they say, use your enemy's strength against them. Classic Hermes.
And the riddle itself is fascinating. Hermes asks, and get this, what is sharper than the sword, yet vanishes when held? What can pierce the heart, yet cannot bleed? It is sought by kings, feared by tyrants, and cherished by the wise? What do you think?
I think it speaks volumes about truth, right? Think about it. The truth can be powerful, cutting through lies and showing you what's hidden. But it's also slippery, always changing as we learn more. And those in power, they want the truth, but they're scared of it at the same time. Am I right?
Absolutely. And here's the kicker. The void, with all its power, can't figure out the answer. It's so busy trying to devour knowledge, to corrupt it, that it misses the simplest, most elegant thing, truth.
Exactly. The void's own arrogance is its downfall. It's so focused on itself that it can't see past its own nose, so to speak.
So what happens then? Does it just give up?
It's not so much giving up as it is, well, falling apart. Imagine this as the idea of truth washes over it. The void unravels, like the very thing it was trying to consume ends up consuming it instead. Talk about poetic justice.
Intense. So Athena's mind is finally quiet again, and her wisdom back where it belongs. But this is a myth, right? So of course it can't be all sunshine and rainbows.
Right. Athena's back, but this whole thing, it changed her. It's like a reminder that even when we overcome challenges, they stick with us. And she's got this warning for the other gods, for everyone, really, the void's not gone for good, just pushed back for now.
So it's more about staying alert than winning, right? Always questioning, always trying to find the truth. Because the second we let our guard down, that's when something like the void can sneak back in.
100%. And that's a lesson that hits close to home for us too, don't you think? Think about it, we're drowning in information these days. Some of it true, some of it not so much.
It's easy to get lost in all that noise, to forget about searching for the truth. This myth, it reminds us that we've got to stay sharp, to really think about the things we see and hear and what we choose to share.
It's like a call to action. Pay attention to your own mind, think critically, and never stop asking questions. If you ask me, I think that's what Athena, the goddess of wisdom, would want us to do.
I think you're right. So next time you're scrolling through a million headlines or trying to make a tough decision, remember this story. Remember Athena and the void. It's a good reminder that being wise is a journey, not the finish line. And sometimes the most powerful weapon we have is also the simplest one, choosing to seek the truth.
Well said. Until next time, everyone, keep searching, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
you.